Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon,
Good
Father.
afternoon, Father.
Good afternoon.
Apologies for the
Good afternoon.
network issues. So, welcome to this second session of our national consultation on young migrant workers. As Father Joshua Chira Provincial Dimapur is not able to connect, is there. Father,
Yeah, I'm there. Yeah, can you hear me?
yes,
Father
Father, we
Tony?
can hear you.
Yeah,
So, over to you, Father, for the opening prayer. Thank you for joining.
yeah, okay. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
God our Father, we have gathered in your name for a national consultation on young migrant workers. Our world is experiencing untold suffering, fear, and anxiety due to the rapid spread of coronavirus pandemic. Look with mercy on us and on all migrant workers, especially the young workers of our country, whose condition has been tragically worsened due to the spread of the pandemic. Hundreds of thousands of them have been deprived of their means of livelihood, stripped of their dignity, and denied of their fundamental rights. Many of them go hungry, live in fear and anxiety, and are uncertain about their future. Give us a heart to welcome them with a sense of solidarity and respond to their needs with generosity. Grant us the grace to see in them the suffering face of Christ, your Son. As sons of Don Bosco, you call us today to respond to the cry of the young migrant workers with sensitivity, creativity, vision, and daring spirit, and kindle in them courage and hope. May the sharing of our ideas and views today enable us to formulate strategic plans and arrive at concrete solutions that will benefit the young migrant workers and alleviate their suffering, respond to their many needs, and help build a society of justice, peace, and solidarity. We make this prayer through Christ our Lord.
Amen.
Mary, help of Christians. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Father Provincial, for the prayer. And for the keen interest you have been taking in young at risk and young migrant workers issues. My dear friends, welcome once again. We're happy to have all of you with us this afternoon. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your commitment to the cause of the young at risk, and today in a particular way to the cause of young migrant workers. We are very happy to welcome to this meeting Father Pichu, our regional councillor from Rome. Also from Rome, Father George Menambanu, I think it's not yet logged in, and Mr. Marco Fulgaro. We're happy to have with us Father Tathiredi, Provincial of Hyderabad, and Yar Provincial. Father Dr. Shiv Kumar, I think not yet logged in. Dr. J. Henry Rosario, both are experts. Sister Rose Pike, a General Counselor, Missionary Sisters of Mary Help of Christians, and a pioneer in the work with domestic workers, especially in the Northeast. Vice Provincials, Father Arul Maran, Father Joseph Teran, Provincial Economists, James Turnyang, and Father Gigi, both have not yet logged in, I think. Former Executive Directors of DBR Forum, Father Matthew Thomas, Father Thomas Koshi, all SPCS and network leaders and their teams, colleagues, heads of province development officers, all province ER coordinators and delegates from the provinces and special invites. Thank you everyone for your presence and for all the discussions, Google Meets, etc. that almost all the provinces have done in preparation for this session. Let's get to the business of the day, segment 1. This segment is of particular importance or value. Without doubt, one of our greatest strengths is the extent or width and the diversity of our presence across India as Salesians and as Salesian family. Ground level, grassroots level presences to presences at the highest academic levels. We engage with children, we engage with young people, adults, families, at the street level. We engage them in playgrounds, farms, factories, markets, places of worship, schools, colleges, universities. We engage with day-to-day sweat and toil of the common man and woman. And we engage with thought leaders, decision makers, change makers at the district, town, state, and national level. And so it is natural to expect that we have a rich and dynamic store of understanding and perceptions about the realities of people from the diverse contexts and corners of this country. So this segment is an attempt to harvest some of that wisdom from all around the country. Of course, there could be gaps. We might be so focused on our own context that we might miss the global scenario. We have Dr. Shiv Kumar with us, currently Center for Monitoring, Evaluation and Impact Analysis and faculty of the Department of Development Studies, Rajiv Gandhi National Institute of Youth Development. Author of several books on migration, youth, labor and related issues. The detailed profile is shared with you all. He will comment on our perspectives and share his own understanding of the context. So, the question for segment 1 is, according to your understanding of the current situation in your locality, town or city or district or state or province, whichever you want to focus on, what are the most urgent issues or challenges of young migrant workers in the short term? And what are the most important challenges or issues in the long term? Now, before we go into the interventions, request to all participants, please keep your microphone muted, except when you wish to intervene. And when people start talking, you can also put your video off, generally, except when you wish to intervene. That may help clarity of the transmission. Once again, reminding you that the entire procedure is being recorded and being streamed live. The link is available if you want to share with someone or other outside.
One suggestion, if you can see the face of, it will be better on the screen. This is bigger.
What is there? You can click on the settings or change layout, and you can choose whomever you want to see on the change layout.
Okay. For the respondents, those who are intervening on behalf of the provinces in segment 1, we have Sean Dilima from Mumbai, Alfred Paul from Kolkata, Jerry Tom from Dimapur, Tadeus Kujur from Guwahati, Balishauri Salibindla from Hyderabad, Tony Plavla from Bangalore province, Alphonse from Chennai, Joe Fernandez from Panjim, Royal Din Shadak from Shillong, and Gabriel Kedleraj from Trichy. Taking off from where we had left off in the first session, I would like to request Father Gabriel Kedleraj from Tirupur to start, to be the opening bat. After that, please follow any order. So just type in your name in the chat box, those whose names I have called, or if somebody else is substituting, that person can. And we will call your name in that order so that I don't have to ask each time who is next. So you can just type your name. Father Gabriel will start. The next person who would like to intervene can already type in the name, so we will call after that. After we finish that, we will take a few more interventions from others, depending on time. Thank you. So over to Father Gabriel for the response from Trichy province on segment number 1, question number 1.
Reminders.
Oh yes, you will get a small reminder tone. What is the tone? Can you please?
Hello, Padam.
1 minute.
Yes.
you will get a small reminder tone 20 seconds before you finish. After that, you would still have about 20 seconds. Even if you exceed by a few seconds, it's not a very big sin. Okay, so please feel free, but please keep to. Okay, Father Gabriel, over to you. And that will be followed by Tony Plavila from Bangalore and then Alfred from Kolkata.
Okay, Father. So, good afternoon, Fathers. And we want to just present the first question. According to your understanding of the current situation in your location, A, what are the most urgent issues or challenges young migrant workers face in short term? Okay, that's a question. First, we would like to speak about most of the migrants over here are labor migrants. They come in search for job with the average age of 17 to 25. Most of them are first-time migrants displaced away from their rural settings who move to the urban settings. So these are the challenges they face. One, adapting to the new culture, environment, work area, language, and other social circles. Second, lack of information regarding jobs, housing facilities, welfares, medical help, and other things. And they also don't have with them a verifiable proof of identity. ID cards like Aadhaar, ration, and other things, which bars them from accessing to all the basic facilities, access to banking, financial service, and other medical aids. And the fourth, there is a lack of opportunity for them to be getting an upgraded skill training, or if they want to learn some education, like if they want to go for continue the education in 10th or 12th or whatever what it is, there is a restricted opportunity for them to avail skill training and education. And last one, preventing them from indulging in substance abuse, which in turn turns them into an antisocial activities. It's also one of the challenges. So this is the response to the question of A. Now, do I have to follow to the question B further, or?
No, yeah, both are same question only, both sections. Yeah, please continue.
Yeah, okay, Father. So what will be the significant challenges we'll be facing in the long term? So second one, so these are the points. There is a problem of uneven wage distribution because there is an influence of the middleman or the manpower agents. So direct salary or wage doesn't go to the migrants. It goes in turn through this middleman or the manpower agents. And there is a lack of awareness and availing welfare measures regarding their labor rights and other things. Formation of unions or unification is a big disadvantage over here. It can't be formed. Then upgrading of skills or availing education, as I told earlier, it's also another problem. Several migrants enter the labor market at an early age or as a bonded labor with limited education and skills. So hard manual labors for 12 to 14 hours a day lead them to an early return or retirement. They frequently slide back into poverty with limited savings and lack of relevant skills. So issues regarding their morality, life of morality is also another problem. Extramarital relationship, live-in relationships, elope cases, addiction. This is also another long-term challenges we have to face. There is a continuous inflow and outflow of migrants for a long term to a short term in our place. That is less than 10% stay for a long duration of 5 to 10 years. 10% of the migrants are seasonal migrants. They stay for a 6 month or 2 months or 3 months. And 80% of the migrants, they stay for less than 1 to 2 years. So we don't have a long term of migrants staying here, but we have a different batches of migrants who come and go out. So there is so that's all, Bharat. Okay.
Thank you, Gabriel. So please answer both sections of the question. There's only one question, 2 sections. Yeah. Father Tony Varghese Plavila from Trivandrum. Father Tony? Father Tony? Okay, we'll go back to Father Tony later.
Hello?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, Father Tony, yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's very, very weak.
Hello? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Yes, please try.
Thomas Aquinas, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Some of the short-term consequences that migrants are going to face from 6 months to 12 months. Okay. The first one is that unemployment and no means of sustenance due to lack of lockdown. Can you hear me?
Yes. You
Someone?
need to speak little louder.
Okay. So they are going to face an unemployment problem because of the lockdown, because no projects are on in neither in Kerala or Karnataka because of the lockdown. The second one is restrictions on travel from here. Those migrants who have gone out from here, there are a lot of restrictions for them to come back now. The labor department, the government department will not easily allow them to come back and work here. This third one is that there is a concept of reverse migration. In Kerala, so many people are working in the Middle East as in Gulf countries. So they are, as the impact of COVID, most of them are coming back. 80%, 10 lakhs of people are expected to come back who have gone to Middle East for work. And they will take over all these jobs. They will replace the migrants. The fourth one is that lack of job opportunities and livelihood options for the migrants who returned from North Karnataka. The fifth one is that children of the migrants find difficult to attend online education. Okay, these are the five.
Close to your mouth.
Pardon? These are the 5 short-term consequences they are going to face soon. Okay, the long-term consequences they are going to face. The first one is that lack of opportunities for the migrants due to reverse migration and availability of skilled native laborers. The second one is that restrictions by the government on free entry as unorganized sector workers. The third one is that their demand for equal wages with the native workers may end up in the choice of local labor force rather than the migrants themselves. The fourth one is that people who have returned from their home state they have to start from the scratches. That means they have to build up from the scratches for the migrants. So it may be difficult for them. So they may not choose. So life may not be very easy here. So they may not choose to come back. So these are the 5 long-term goals. Okay, these are the ones that I need to explain. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony. Father Alfred Paul from Kolkata. Mic is on.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. This is Father Alfred from Kolkata, presenting to you the most urgent issues and challenges faced by the young migrant workers of our region. They are as follows. A, the short-term issues, challenges faced by the migrants. First is loss of job for the breadwinner of the family. Second, migrants face the burden of huge family to be looked after. Third, lack of basic food and necessities of life. Fourth, lack of proper shelter for the family. Fifth, lack of security for the future. Number 6, forced to take up any menial job provided by the employers. Number 7, sense of helplessness and despair among the migrants. These are the short-term issues or challenges faced by the migrants. Then B, that is the long-term issues or challenges of the migrants of our region. First, loss of permanent job which they were skilled in. Second, the poor migrants' dreams and plans and projects are all shattered. Third, they will not be able to come out of the clutches of poverty. Fourth, rise in antisocial activities due to lack of job and security of life. Fifth, rise in social and psychological issue leading to depression and turmoil in personal and family life of the migrants. And the last, the poor migrants become poorer. Thank you.
Thank you, Alfred. We have Sean De Lima from Vadodara for Mumbai province.
Yeah, you can hear me? Hello?
Yeah.
You can hear me? Am I
Yes.
audible?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going, okay? Okay. With regards to the most urgent issues, well, we believe that there'll be vast scale unemployment. That is the first point. The second point will be that the crime rate in cities would increase. The third point is that there'll be overcrowding in our city areas. The fourth point being that the stress level, the anxiety level and the tension level in the cities will increase. And the fifth point is that there'll be exploitation of the migrants because of them being vulnerable, because they are poor and they are uneducated, they are illiterate. Okay. With regards to the second question, that is the long-term issues, okay, the migrants will face a big problem paying back loans because of their cultural events like wedding and other social events, educational loans, etc. The second point being, well, they will be working overtime to make up for this lockdown period, which will lead to stress and health issues. The third point being that there's a risk factor, a fear factor that will increase because of the uncertain feelings of such a lockdown or such a national calamity to take place again. The fourth point being that educational and security of their children. Well, migrants are normally not educated as well as the other people around. And with the schools being locked down, schools in a lockdown environment, to provide their children with internet, to be present with them, to teach them will be a very difficult factor. And the last point being, the fifth point being counseling. Okay, in these desperate situations faced by the migrants, to counsel them, to make them understand the situation, to make them face this challenge that is ahead of them, is going to be a very big, very important factor to help them in a long-term aspect. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. We have Royal from Shillong. Royalty.
Hello, Father. Can you hear me, Father?
Yes. Please
Okay.
go ahead.
Good afternoon, Father, brothers, sisters, and dear collaborators. I'm from Shillong province, and I would like to answer regarding the first question. So, regarding this, I think we need to understand that the migrant youth face risk compounded by their age, the gender, their migration status, and their cultural identity. Policies must address specific conditions, the risks and the vulnerabilities of the young migrants, taking into account their residence and adaptability. Young migrants are generally resilient, ambitious, and adaptable, and are sought after by employees. However, while these migrant youth commonly face social exclusion, disruption from family, and absence of social promotion and social protection. And over these, the young women and girl migrants are more at risk of abuse. We need to consider this. Discrimination and gender-based violence against them, which includes sexual violence. Youth migrants belonging to specific ethnic or cultural groups as well, they face a lot of difficulties. Other aspects regarding this first question would also include unemployment that leads to financial issues and family problems, a paradigm shift in the work skills of the youth migrants, lack of access to decent work, exploitative working conditions, inadequate access to skills, and other exclusions. And regarding the second point, question number B, I would just like to mention a few points. That is, in the long term, they will have lack of savings, adverse effect on mental health, employment uncertainty that could lead to suicidal thoughts, theft, and underground activities. lack of further educational opportunities, psychological impact, and having experiencing a great degree of pain and suffering. Just one more point, Father, and loss of healthy childhood experience due to increased responsibility towards social norms on the basis of this pandemic and the lockdowns. Thank you, Father.
Thank you, Royaldeep. Actually, we had requested you to highlight 3 to 5. If you actually list all the problems, it will be the same across the whole country. So,
Okay, Father.
No, I'm speaking for everybody, not just Royaldeep.
Yes,
So, just focus on what are the real issues in your own area. That will help us to understand, rather than making a comprehensive list of all the possible problems. The speakers who are coming next, please try to focus what in your area are the most important issues. Thank you. Over to Father Joe Fernandez from Goa.
Good evening, everybody. Good afternoon, brother. The most urgent issues in Goa are unemployment and underemployment. Goa, not all migrants have returned back to their home states. There are some who have stayed back also. Only those who are working in the fishing industries, tourism and hospitality industries, they have returned to their native place. Others have been asked to stay back for various reasons, economic, social, political. Those who have stayed back are now disillusioned about their future. Second point is migrants are running out of food supplies. So there is less food for the migrants over here. Third is those working in the industrial estates are asked to remain absent as their factories and their workshops are locked down or shut down. Many such areas are declared as containment zone or red zone because of the COVID-19. Fourth point is migrants are looked down upon with contempt because they are held responsible for spreading the pandemic in Goa by the locals. They face humiliation and ridicule. And the fifth point is interstate travel is not yet open with ease. People are coming and going, but it passes, and there's a lot of problems with that. Then the far-fetched issues or challenges which you see from 6 months to 3 years are as follows. First is challenge of finding a steady job, a proper employment to sustain self and family. Then secondly, pay cuts. Many stay behind because the employers promised them a regular pay, but the present scenario of pay cuts from 25% may increase to around 50% of pay cut in the future, and this will make migrant life difficult in Goa. Third point is employment is not assured according to the skills of the migrant. They will have to learn new skills in order to get new jobs. Fourth point, many migrants are struggling to pay their home rents, house rents. Landlord is in a hurry to take the income rent from the migrants, so they should find some job, otherwise they'll be in a big trouble. And fifth point is the education of migrant children will be badly affected with the COVID-19 present in Goa. Many of them are becoming schoolless now. Thank you.
Yeah, so this is Father Lawrence here. Going to the second part. Most significant learnings. So in this area, the first learning that we...
Hello,
can you hear me?
Who is this? Lawrence.
Are you able to hear me? This is Father Lawrence here from Goa.
Are you responding to the second question or?
Yes, second question.
We will come to the second segment, Lawrence, in the next round.
Yes.
Please
okay,
wait.
okay.
Great. Thank you. So thank you, Joe. After Joe, Jerry Thomas, and since others have not typed, after Jerry, Thaddeus, Balishori, and Alphonse from Chennai. Thank you. Jerry, please.
Okay, the immediate short-term challenges that our migrants face is loss of jobs and income and increased poverty of families, stigma and abuse as coronavirus in the place of their work, and stigma and violence as carriers of virus to their village, which were mostly free of the virus. Documentation issues and bureaucratic challenges to enroll for government programs and schemes in their native states. The challenge of using the skills they already have or learning new skills for employment or self-employment in their place, because many of them face ridicule because they cannot even work in the field and do not know what to do. Number 5 is high possibility of dependent siblings dropping out of schools or colleges, adding to their sense of failure. On the long term, besides the short-term ones, which will prolong, possible revival and flare-up of dormant ethnic tensions as desperate young people compete for the few jobs and limited resources available. So overall social unrest, increased corruption and exploitation of the desperate helplessness by vested ethnic, political, and economic interests. Disillusionment with the government that has no resource to create employment. Fear of militancy. As one said, joining the militants will give at least a false sense of dignity and security. There is a real fear of aggressive recruitment by militant groups. Increased substance abuse and addiction, drug trafficking as a gainful employment. And number 5 is crisis of health, both physical and mental. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry, for the presentation. Father Thaddeus from Guwahati.
Okay, thank you for beautiful chance. Most urgent issue and challenges in short term. First, most of the youth whom the solutions had given training and job placement in different areas and sectors have lost their jobs and returned back to their homes with much difficulties. Also, there are many more remaining at the working place and feeling insecure and want to come back, but there is confusion because no income in their own local areas or localities, places. Second, youth are feeling restless, no hope, fear, worries, and poverty. Third, there is a high tendency for use of drugs and substance abuse to remove their distress. Fourth, there will be more crimes, especially theft and abuse. And fifth one, groupism may exist to fight for justice within their states and language and groups, etc. The second question, in short term, desperately looking and longing for any types of job in their own localities for survival. Second, looking for free skill training within job placement and so on. Third, wanting to do something income generation within their own localities, but there is a question mark how to start, how to and so on. Fourth one, youth looking for a accompaniment, support and training from government, solutions and stakeholders, and they're looking for, and that we can help them in long term. Thank you. God bless you and all the best.
Thank you, Thaddeus. On the dot. Congratulations.
Welcome.
Father Balashari, please. Father Balashari.
Yes, good afternoon. Long-term, short-term issues and challenges. Loss of livelihood or employment opportunities leading to acute poverty without access to food, shelter, and other basic facilities, resulting in a severe malnutrition and increasing morbidity among the children. Second one, lack of access to public distribution system and medical support for the most marginal migrants and families, especially in the worsening COVID pandemic. Third one, child-related issues, lack of access to nutritious food, immunization facilities, free or postnatal care, and increase in numbers of child labor, child marriage, violence, industrial and agricultural labor, and child sex work. Fourth one, possibility of increasing public or official empathy toward the issues of the most marginalized migrants when the COVID pandemic devastating conditions for the worsen. Long term, lack of caring community mechanisms, forums, grievance cell, etc., to work with the unorganized, unskilled workers to promote, safeguard, and advocate their rights, starting with no formal registration of migrants, etc. Second one, lack of sufficient basic documents to avail the public facilities and services, non-portability and entitlements such as the public distribution system, ration cards, health facilities, etc. Third one, no reliable data on migrants and hence no realistic strategy for their welfare. Fourth one, no effective access to education for children and abuse of accessibility to protection mechanisms for children and women. Fifth one, substance use disorders and lack of advocates and effective support system for those suffering from such disorders, with a special focus on children and youth. Thank you.
Thank you, Balashori. We are moving on to the last one to present from the province delegates. After this, we will take a few more interventions. If someone would like to add some perspective, those who would like to intervene, please type your names. 3, 4, 5 people we can listen to. Please type your names because on the screen we don't see everyone's face. So if anyone would like to intervene after Father Alphonse, please type your name. Thank you. Father Alphonse from Chennai.
Father Alphonse, please unmute.
Hello, everyone. This is Chennai. The answer to the first question, the points that mentioned, the safety health mechanism. Now, during this pandemic, a lot of health mechanism is introduced. When they come back at the construction site, at the work site, will the migrants receive the same health facilities, insurance, medical? It remains one of the big challenges. Second one would be, there is a beginning to be a high competition between the local workforce and the guest workforce. Third challenge is there is a trend, and also every study indicates there is going to be an increased child labor, especially from the migrant families as well as from the inner city families. Fourth one would be lack of employment opportunities. Wherever they had worked, they left the place. When they come back, they want to come back because they need a job, but the job opportunities are not assured. And also there is a sense of insecurity and psychological fear and disturbance in the minds of those young people who stay on in the 4 districts of Chennai hoping to resume their work. These are the challenges to the first one. The long-term challenges are registration of the unorganized workers. Second, education of the interstate and intrastate children. Third, very important, labor laws versus labor codes. During the COVID, some BJP-ruled states already passed, some of them, MP, UP, Gujarat, have already sent their ordinances to the President of India to freeze labor laws and to insert labor codes. That's going to be working against the guest workers and the workforce. And the last two, but not the least, the education of the interstate and intrastate children, the children of those parents. So these are the answers from our side. Thank you very much for your listening.
Thank you, Father Lawrence. There is a request from Father Joseph Teron from Guwahati. Anyone else would like to intervene after this, please type your name. Father Joseph Teron.
Thank you, Father. I would like to add something for the Northeast, not only for our province, but for the Northeast. The Northeast, the main problem is migrants returning. This one, and a lot of our employable people, because gone out of Northeast with certain trades, expert in certain trades. Now they are returning. Those trades are not available. Most of them are not available in Northeast. That is a challenge. And so another challenge will be that they will be looking for advocacy, someone to help them. And they will be forced to return to the farm. I think in Northeast, they will be forced to return to the farms. And so the crucial need or the urgency will be assisting them in entrepreneurship and agriculture along this line and advocacy. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Joseph. Teron, Father Bosco, and after this, if there is one last intervention before we request Dr. Shiv Kumar to sum up. Father Bosco. Father Bosco, over to you.
No, he's unmuted.
No, he's not hearing us.
Father Bosco.
Father Bosco.
You can.
Yeah.
Your time.
Yeah. Audible?
Yeah, please. Yeah,
Father Bosco, please go ahead.
Father.
Followed by
Question
Father.
to Thaddeus. Yeah. Some of the youngsters were trained and they were sent to other states. And Thaddeus told me some are still remaining. Some are still remaining. Hey, it will be really good, Thaddeus, if you can also.
Hello. Hello.
Okay.
Those take care. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Father Bosco. The last intervention is from Father Santanam. After that, we'll request Dr. Shiv Kumar to sum up and to give his perspective. Father Santanam?
Yeah, good afternoon. I want to make a general comment. Two questions that raises in my mind. How we as Salesians were prepared to deal with these issues of migrants. And that is one of the things that was going on in my mind. Are we doing some experiments, or do we have sufficient expertise and knowledge to deal with these issues related to migrants? Secondly, are we just contented in doing some welfare measures, or are we moving towards getting them their entitlements? From welfare approach to right-based approach, what are the challenges that we have faced? It will be good that somebody shares on this two aspects. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Father Santanam. Responses we will take, if at all, in the fourth segment. I would now like to invite Dr. Shiv Kumar. He was already there right at the beginning, but we couldn't see. We are trying to see if we can pin the image of Dr. Shiv Kumar so that all of us can see. In case we are not able, please select Dr. Shiv Kumar and select it on your own screen, so you will be able to see Dr. Shiv Kumar as he's talking. Dr. Shiv Kumar, thank you so much for coming in this afternoon. You were supposed to be our keynote speaker at the national consultation we had planned.
Yeah,
unfortunately, you couldn't have it, but in a small way, at least today, we are very happy that you are able to join us. Thank you so much. Over to you, Doctor.
Thank you, Father Tony. Can you please tell me the time limit for me so that I can plan accordingly? How is it 15 minutes or whatever the time we are setting? I can talk accordingly.
We have planned minimum 10 minutes, but we'll be happy.
Okay. Fine. So 10 to 15 minutes. Is it okay? I can take another 5 more minutes.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you for that. At the outset, I would like to congratulate Father Tony as well as the team for having thought of an action plan for the internal migrants in India, because the current context has exposed the vulnerabilities of the migrants. So in fact I was noting down some of the points mentioned by various speakers on their issues faced by the migrants. Now what I would like to do is I would like to give a comprehensive perspective of what is the contextual situation in India, particularly focusing on internal migration. I'm not going to cover the international migration, that is not our focus. All the speakers were talking about the problems faced by the internal migrants and how it needs to be addressed. If you look into the entire spectrum of the so-called social protection, in Indian context, we have, around, I will say that let us categorize the social protection into two types. One is on promotional social protection, another is protective. Protective in the sense, for example, any government servant or any person who is working in the organized sector, they have a lot of social protection programs like health insurance or other types of insurance, sickness leave, or there are other kinds which is being broadly categorized as protective, social protection. And if you look into the statistics available with us, only 8% of the total workforce are having these kind of protective social, protect. That means 8% of total working populations are having any kind of, protection from any kind of issues. Let it be pandemic or let it be other kind of health issues. They're covered, they're protected with different schemes with the government as well as non-government or private sector. The irony is that 92% of the working population do not have any kind of social protection program or minimal kind of social protection program in our country. And if you again look into the plight of the migrants are totally invisible. They are not even covered even in this types of social protection programs. So we are talking about the migrant issue, which is quite important in the context of this pandemic. Now, if you look into the data available, of course, the actual realities or the number is higher than the data available, but around 100 million workers are there as internal migrants. Now, if you have these 100 million migrants, out of which again, around 56 million migrants are working in the construction industry alone, right? And this construction industry is the only industry where there is a board called Building and Construction Workers Welfare Fund. That means even if, out of all the internal migrants, at least in the people working in the construction sector, there is a board called Building and Construction Workers Welfare Fund. This is the fund says collected from the builders or the the so-called builders who is involved in the activities of the construction. Out of this, this fund is supposed to be spent for construction workers, but it has never happened. The law is there, but so it was so far, we could not see any kind of programs other than states like Kerala or Tamil Nadu. Again, out of this 56 million migrant workers involved in construction sector, only 22 million migrant workers are registered. And again, 26 million people are excluded from registering because of the middleman, because of the contractor. So you just look at the scenario. Number one, there is no kind of social protection programs available for the migrant workers. Even if the small segment is available in the building and construction work industry, out of 56 million, again, only 32 million are registered, and another 26 also million people are, excluded. Or it's not their fault. It is the contractor. They're supposed to, do that. And another issue is that all these perspectives are again going to change by the introduction of the labor code. One of the speakers was referring about the labor code. The entire 44 labor laws are going to be merged into 4 labor code. Now, the wage code, Industrial Relation Code, then Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code, and finally the fourth one is the Social Protection Code. Now the entire, the labor laws are going to be categorized under these four code. But all these codes are in different stages of passage in the Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha, or in the to transform itself into an act. The point is that even if there is some kind of mechanisms are inbuilt in the migrants are largely invisible. But one positive aspect is that the Chapter 8, Section 106 of the Social Welfare Code that talks about the registration of all construction workers compulsorily. It is a welcoming move, but how the migrants are going to be registered, all these sections needs to be evaluated in detail so that we can have some other aspects. And to wind up, what I would like to say that the strategy, what the team should focus is on that. Now the migrants, the moment they come out of their village, they don't have the so-called citizenship does not help them to access to the public services, whether it is public distribution system or health public health system. So number one, of course, Government of India is trying to expand this One India public distribution system, where you can have with the one ration card you can access to any other states. But I think that is one thing which is really a welcoming move, and we should encourage people to make use of it once it is being implemented all over the country. Then access to public health services is totally invisible compared to the natives of the migrants are excluded from all these sectors. Then I think the entire city governance needs to be decentralized so that we have to make use of the services. And the counseling services, some speaker was talking about the counseling services, and the information services available to the migrants also needs to be expanded. I think I'm very well within the time limit. If there is any questions, I'll be happy to answer that. Thank you. Over to you, Father Tony.
Thank you, Dr. Shivakumar, for that very short and concise presentation. We can take a few questions, 2 or 3, if anyone would like to ask. Please type your name if there are questions. Would anyone like Father Joy from Brex? Please go ahead with your question, Father Joy.
Good afternoon, sir. It was very nice to hear you. And we've been working with the migrants. We've been working for the migrants in Kerala, especially for with all the people from North India. This is one thing that we are really facing. There is absolutely no data available of the migrants, neither with the government nor with the NGOs. Secondly, the government is already moving a law to remove or to dilute the labor laws. That itself is going to be a big challenge for the migrants. So can there be a concerted effort from the entire India country, from like-minded people and NGOs, to put some pressure on the government to have a law which would really protect the migrants? And of course, also about the PDS, can we have one ration card which is applicable for a migrant to access this ration or even health service from any part of the country? If it is online, it would be possible. These are some of the things that we may have to take up. So what are your thoughts on the same?
Yeah, thank you for your question. You are absolutely correct. We don't have up-to-date data with regard to the migrants. What is available, as if you look into the present data, we have the Census of India 2011. Then in the year 2017, Government of India has constituted a working group on migration headed by Professor Partho Mukhopadhyay, and of course I also had attended one of the consultation meeting where we have given a lot of inputs to them. That report is available in the online. or in the website. I'll be happy to share with Father Tony also. Because in this report, they have identified around 54 districts in India which is having high intensity of internal migration. And if you presently, I was looking into the data from the railway ministry, and you will be there's no surprise that the most number of Shramik trains were organized to these 54 districts, which is being identified by the committee headed by Partha Mukhopadhyay. That means these 54 districts are highly vulnerable districts, and majority of them belongs to Uttar Pradesh, then Bihar, then other Rajasthan states like Rajasthan is following. So it is quite important in these 54 districts, if you wanted to really to have a issue-based, address solution. So this is first thing. Second, of course, you are right. The existing labor laws are going to be amalgamated into 4 labor codes. What is required is that sometimes government is also asking for the solutions or the comments by the public about the mechanism. In fact, I was going through the code on social security. There are certain sections which is positive. There are certain sections which needs to be presented, and there is discussions are going on in the government itself to modify based on the comments received from the public domain. For example, section 228, section 282, where the wages are defined. There are certain improvements are going to happen. Of course, it is a good suggestion that there should be collective representation by the civil society also, so that it can be we can add value to what is being prepared by the government. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shivkumar. And as there are no further questions, we will conclude our segment 1 with that intervention from Dr. Shivkumar. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Coming to the second segment, in the last 4 months, almost 4 months, most of us have engaged with migrants in some way or other. A lot of us reached out to them with emergency relief, food, accommodation, medicine. Others engaged in addressing anxiety, stress, and other related issues. We have also watched a lot of individuals and organizations who mostly were in relief, but there were a number that combined relief with research. That was a model we saw with a few organizations. A lot of us engaged with social media or mainstream media, advocacy, awareness creation, a lot of public figures, prominent organizations, etc. So with all this variety of experiences that we have heard, we have had, we would have learned something that we should continue to do, or we feel, oh, we should have added that component more, or we feel, no, this we need not have done, or we should not have done. So this experience, we would like to hear from especially those provinces and individuals who really engaged in this work. So that is our segment 2. The question is, you and others in your town, district, state, or province are likely to have engaged with or reached out to migrant workers in the recent past. Without going into the details of what was done, we do not want a description of what was done. Would you share with us your most significant learnings which you consider important as we go forward? Our purpose for this consultation is to move towards an all India level action plan. So whatever can contribute to that, could you please share? Any do's or don'ts? You can answer as a single question. You don't have to give a separate answer sort of thing. And please try to prioritize and focus on the most important so that we do not exceed the time limits. The province delegates who are answering are Rudolph, Joseph Cheriat, Polycarp Khalko, Jayaprakash, Ratna Neelam, Joy Nedumparambil, Bosco Francis, Lawrence Montero from Goa, and Lawrence David from Chennai. May I ask Father Joy Nedumparambil to open this segment?
Good afternoon once again, and I go straight away to the answers. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
So the three significant learnings. One, the migrants are unorganized and there is no proper data available and no system to capture the data as of now with the government. Secondly, they are denied of their rights to food, health, and fair wages in their new location or the state in which they are working now. Thirdly, the laws related to migrants are outdated and redundant. I think already we've heard about this. And they are exploited and they have no access to PDS, public distribution system, that is the grains and ration they get from the shop, to health and education as any other citizens. So these are three things that we have learned from the work that we have been doing in Kerala and also in Karnataka. Secondly, the do's and the don'ts. No discrimination in the name of region, state, language, or religion. So migrants should not be treated as second-class citizens. Secondly, respect their human rights and honor their dignity. Thirdly, fair wages and safe working conditions for the migrants. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel, for the short and sweet presentation. Followed by Joseph Cheriat from Kolkata, and I request other delegates who are responding to please type in your name so that we know. Father Cheriat from Kolkata.
Hello, good afternoon, fathers. And this is Father Cheriat from Kolkata province. At the moment, I went on Bosco Ashalayam. And as part of our outreach program during the lockdown situation, we served cooked food, dry ration, and other essential goods for the migrants. And some of the learnings that we have obtained from this experience are as follows. One, we realize that we need to provide permanent solution to their problems and not temporary ones, which means we need to consider the sustainability of livelihood. Two, the middle class and the lower middle class migrant youth found it so hard to stand in the queue to receive our help because they felt that they were losing their dignity, though it was a need of the hour. In fact, with too much of documentation with the photos and videos that we had taken, they have become a kind of victim we had learned. And thirdly, we got to be catalysts in creating awareness about the urgent need of reaching out to the poor and the needy in time of extreme situation like this pandemic. Fourth, it's very important to have network with like-minded people and various other forms of agencies and organizations to work together to address the situation. Fifthly, we need to help the returned migrant youth to get back their work and profession and empower them with various other skills if required. Sixthly, we need to address them and strengthen their motivation to continue with their life and future. And lastly, since it was a need of the hour, the food was distributed. But for a systematic intervention, we need to study and do research into the situations. Thank you. And we do not have any specific do's and don'ts at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Cheriat Joseph. Father Rudolph from Mumbai. Father Rudolph.
Am I audible? Am I audible? Okay.
Yes.
I too will go straight with the answers. Significant learnings. The first three, need for more outreach work at the local and province level. Secondly, need for a disaster management plan or committee that will address similar crises in the future. Thirdly, networking with state departments, NGOs, members of the Salesian family, and Salesian houses. Fourthly, effective use of the social media to highlight issues of poor migrants and also to reach out to them. And lastly, it has been observed that conditions of the migrant worker in these times is similar to that of a farmer during drought. And hence we need a new outlook, a new perspective, and skill training or entrepreneurship. Develop something that will help a migrant worker to sustain himself or herself in crisis times like these. Moving on to the second sub-question, we don't have any don'ts, but the do's are to have a full-time yard coordinator in our province, and all the solution houses should network with each other during these crisis times. Thank you. Father Tony?
Hello.
Already. Yeah. Hello.
Sorry, we had an issue with our network. Sorry, we had an issue with our network. Are you able to hear us now? Are you able to hear us?
Yes, yes. Now we are able to hear.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear now. So we lost some part of Rudolph's sharing, but I think Rudolph has finished, right? Rudolph
Yes.
has. Okay. We will go ahead to the next person. That's Jay Prakash. Jay Prakash from Guwahati. Jay Prakash, please.
Okay. Good afternoon, fathers and friends. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear.
Okay. So just I am straight away going to the point. First of all, there is no data regarding the migrant youths here. And second, there's a huge number of unemployment. And what we have learned is youth, they want to be self-dependent. They don't want to be any more charity mode of work. And we need to create an employment for the youth within the local area. That's what we have learned. And for this, we need to promote maybe ecotourism, agri-tourism, and we need to create or increase agri-related developmental activities within the local states. And also, we need to encourage cottage and khadi-based industries, which will help the unemployment situation. These are the points which I have noted down. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Father Jay Prakash. Father Polycarp Khalko from Dimapur.
Hello, good afternoon. Yes, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, from ER team of Dimapur province, there was no specific work done for migrant workers in the recent past. However, we had some relief works reaching out to something like 35,000 families from where we get some experiences. One of the experiences that we had was stigmatization. Many villagers refused to accept migrant workers, fearing that the villagers may get infected. And so for some time, the migrant workers are not willing to go back to the places where they were working. And so one of the job that may be taken up will be creating awareness. Right now, the migrants have some sort of work due to cultivation. After a few months, the work will be no more, and then the savings will be over, and then the problem will begin. We have no data of migrant workers who have returned or who are still outside the region. So we have no migration desk from where we could get some information. These are some of the things that we have found, and therefore the ER team of Dimapur province is planning to initiate a survey to gather some information regarding the migrant workers who have returned to the region, and then from there we'll be able to gather some data and we'll be able to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Polycarp. Over to Father Bosco from Chennai. Father Bosco.
Yeah. From our learnings, we found that 4 agendas have to be, and we need to take into action plan. One is a decent work agenda, that is job opportunities for wages, safe working conditions, etc. And the second important is dignity of labor. We see there's a disparity. Our own migrants are not treated as human beings, not treated as laborers. And the third one is very important, that is administration and documentation and the agenda, very important. That is inadequacy of data. And the fourth agenda is very important, is workers' collective agenda. Workers' collective agenda. So these 4 agendas have to be, in our experiences, we found we need to take in the action plan as an advocacy. So the second question is do's and don'ts. I come back to the first itself. The first point, what I answered. All these 4 agendas are supposed to be do's. And if you don't do, that is don't, it will also come into the first. We should do all these 4 agendas and we need to take into action plan. Thank you.
Yeah. Bosco, you finished already?
Yes.
Okay, Bosco. Yeah. Father Lawrence from Trichy Place. Father Lawrence.
Yes, Father.
From Trichy, yes.
Yes, Father. So Gabriel and Lawrence are saying we are just sitting together. So the same thing. So, Father, can you hear us?
Yes,
all of us.
Okay, sure.
Father, can you hear us?
Yes.
Yes. Father, we want to just, from our learnings, we want to say that, to summarize in one term, it is a modern slavery. Migrants are living a life of a modern slavery. That's all we can just say. Second, we need a network between source and the destination. Up to now, we don't have any proper network even among the Salesians from the source and destination. Many youngsters from DB Tech, they have reached in Tirupur, but as a Salesians, we were not able to know that from DB Tech people are coming here. It's very pathetic. If some information is given to our Salesians, we would have intervened. So that sort of a networking between source and destination, between the provinces, is a need of the hour. And we feel that there is a lot of healthy recreation, counseling has to be provided to the migrants. And we also feel that networking among the Salesian forums like DB Tech for skill training, this Don Bosco job placement network, now it is doing a wonderful service because we have given a lot of information to the job placement network of Don Bosco job placement network, and they are finding a lot of local job opportunities for these migrants who have gone to their own places. I think that is one of the wonderful opportunities we are having. we can avail this network like Don Bosco Job Placement Network, which is giving them a lot of job placement opportunities. For do's and don'ts, we just want to say that we have to create some sort of a common policy for our solutions to how to work among the migrants, and regular information services of the good practices among our solutions can also be done in a larger scale. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Gabriel. Can we listen to Ratna Neelam from Vijayawada for Hyderabad province?
Yeah. Instead of Ratna, Father Balashuri is on the line.
Sure, Father Balashuri, yes.
Yeah, one is a definition of migrants to include not only the individual migrant workers, but also long-term, economically most marginalized communities and socially excluded community like Yanadis. Second one, streamline, extend coordinated efforts to work with migrants at province level with common programs, community mechanisms, caring community network, forum in collaboration with the government in line departments, helpline by migrants desk, possibly in collaboration with the government and adolescent parliaments and youth volunteers core among the target communities, capacity building of team members and the target groups, research on migrants, collection and analysis of data and facilitation of basic documents and insurance coverage, etc. and local specific programs resulting from local surveys of the target groups. Third one, efforts to ensure education and health of children in collaboration with the government. Need of substance use disorder, prevention and supporting measures. Efforts to establish, strengthen inter-provincial or internal and interstate level coordination to protect and promote, advocate migrants' rights and entitlements. And do's and don'ts. Have collaborated efforts, internal, internal province level, and external with the government and like-minded organizations, institutions and individuals. 2. Be more inclusive in definition of migrants. Primary focus to continue on children at risk, especially the child migrants. Thank you.
Thank you, Balashuri. Father Lawrence Montero from Goa. Father Lawrence.
Government organizations and non-governmental organizations. Yes,
not very clear.
Yes, so
We have some problem with the audio, Father Lawrence. Are you hearing us? Father Arvind, if you can hear us, Father Arvind, are you able to respond instead of Father Lawrence?
Yeah, Father.
Hello.
Father Arvind?
Hello.
It's no problem. Are you facing the disturbance or is it only?
No, I can hear you.
Okay.
There is disturbance in your audio.
All are facing the disturbance.
Okay. It's better now. Father Arvind or Father Lawrence, can anyone speak if you are able to? Father Lawrence, try Father Lawrence.
So, Father Tony, Father Arvind speaking.
Yes, Arvind. Yes, please go on.
Yeah. So the learnings, first one, networking with government organizations and NGOs stood out as the best practice we adopted. Something we learned was it is better to network instead of duplicating things. So by networking with other NGOs, we could reach out to the really deserving people, the unreached, and also avoided duplication. During work with migrants, we came across very committed government officials and government servants. Most of them worked for long hours, went beyond the call of duty, and showed the spirit of sacrifice. There is the example of the collector of South Goa who even set up his office on the railway platform to help migrant workers move in or get in Shramik trains. Then generosity of donors who willingly contributed finances and resources. Next, passionate young volunteers. Maybe they were few, but they were 100% in their commitment. They distributed food, helped people to get into trains, even at very odd hours. And as a team, we got first-hand experience of the plight of migrant workers. With regards to do's and don'ts, first of all, we must cooperate and collaborate with government agencies. Because we have the tendency to criticize them, so we are saying that don't criticize government officials and public servants. Instead, collaborate with them, work with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Arvind. We are sorry we couldn't hear Father Lawrence Monteiro, but I hope the innovations were what was prepared by the whole province. Thank you. We have finished the province delegates' interventions. We could take a couple of interventions from the others if anyone would like to share. Please type if you are intending to share. If you would like to share, please type your name. Father Santanam, yes, please go ahead. Others, please type. Father Santanam.
Yeah, one of the learnings that we have done, we got in working with migrants Salem and Namakkal, is that we need to have mapping of the employers who are employing migrants from other districts or from other states. So we learned that we have to have a data of all those employers who are employing migrants. That would be a great help. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Santanam. And Father Vincent from Chennai.
Yes. First and foremost, congrats, Tony, for a wonderful work. Just I would like to highlight the migrants in law conflict. There are some migrants in law conflict in the prison. You could see them; they are helpless. And also, there are some migrants. They land up in brothel houses, in the vigilance home. They are longing to go back. So people from other states like West Bengal, Bihar, and so many of them. And we need really a good and to do some apostolate for these type of people. Thank you, Tony.
Father Vincent, for that contribution. As there are, I do not see any other names. Can I invite Father Matthew Thomas to sum up this segment? I don't think I need to introduce Father Matthew Thomas. He's nationally and internationally known. Father is currently the rector and director of the Bosco Group of Young and Presbyterians in Bangalore Province. He's council member. He's the emeritus director, executive director of DBR Forum prior to Father Koshi's tenure. So, Father Matthew Thomas, over to you.
Thank you for the introduction, and I was wondering why I was chosen to do this job. Maybe because most of my life I have been living like a migrant away from my homeland. Okay, hi everyone, Father Biju, Father Tati, Father Tony, Aquinas, Father Koshi, Dr. Shivakumar, Dr. Henry Osorio, and friends. I think the most important learning that has happened to us is what is happening to us now. This Google Meet is an example of the most important learning that has happened to solutions. Migrants seem to have become important for our solutions, not only in document but also in practice. Don Bosco yard centers across the country mostly were satisfied with just running some children's homes. But now with COVID and the lockdown, we have come out and we have started reaching out to the migrants in our slums and in our neighborhood with food and other support systems. And I was also very surprised and very happy to hear that the Delhi Solutions even arranged buses for the migrants to go back home when their government was, or other governments were finding it difficult to send back the migrants back to their families. So congrats to Delhi province. Swanup, are you there? So congratulations. The Yar National Office, I think, felt the need to address this issue, and now we are here at the second Google Meet on the topic of migrants. Congrats, Tony, Thomas Aquinas. So during this period, all of us will agree that we have failed our migrant brothers, sisters, and children. We have seen them suffering, great sufferings. Our government systems have failed them, causing tremendous pain and sufferings. A word of apology to our migrant friends, brothers, sisters, and children who suffered recently and are suffering. We saw you suffering. Some of the important learnings that were shared just now from the provinces, yeah, they are all very, very important learnings that we Salesians have come across. I will just pick out some of them in random, and I will present them. I don't need to explain any one of them because they are all obvious and very clear. We realize that migrants are a very much an unorganized sector, which means here that they have no power to organize themselves and really lobby for their rights. And there is no proper data available and no system to capture the data. And they were suffering from their, they didn't have their rights to food, health, etc. And our law that is supposed to take care of migrants, they were not effective. And we need to work for a proper law or legal system for migrants. That is very, very important. And a particular dawn that we must follow is when we are working for migrants, we must not find out from which state or from what language or from what religion they come from. We need to respect their dignity and their rights, and that's a very important thing. Permanent solutions are something that we need to look out for. It's not just merely giving them food or some of the materials as solutions. As we are going to plan to work for migrants, we need to look at permanent solutions. While receiving help from us, we must not unduly put down their dignity. That's another important thing that was said. And skilling the migrants so that they would be into safe migration and they will be protected from exploitation is a very important thing that was brought out as an important learning. And Mumbai province said there is a lot of need for more outreaches and we need to network. Effective use of social media is important to bring up the cause of the issues of migrants so that they will get more and more attention and help. And also it was said they need a full-time YAR coordinator in the province to make sure that this YAR work and the work for migrants would be given more importance. And also something nice was said, all the solution houses could network on the issue of migrants because migrants are found everywhere. Again, unemployment is a huge issue And so employment opportunities could be created locally. And in Dimapur, something that they said was, when the migrants returned to their states, there was a issue that these migrants were not accepted. There was a lot of fear, and so these migrants again face problem in their own homeland. So the importance or the need to create more awareness is another thing, so that this fear and such behavior could be got rid of. Creating awareness on the dignity of labor, Bosco said that creating awareness on the dignity of labor is important, and also the need for migrant workers collective is important, because migrant collectives are very, very rare in any place, because only the local workers have all these things and they have their rights protected, but the migrants never have any collectives or unions. The importance of mapping the employers is important, so that we can go out to them and then talk to them, so that this and so that is a very important learning that was made. Reaching out to the migrants in prisons, Father Vincent said, because migrants are also in the prisons and they need to be cared for. Father Lawrence from Trichy said, there is this modern slavery. Migrant laborers can be called as a modern slavery. And probably if we start doing job placements, more of the migrant laborers could be supported and protected. And the need for a solution policy for working with migrants for the whole of India is needed. I guess the YAR forum is taking note of that, and I think the next session they are trying to arrive at a proper policy to be more effective in working with the migrants across India. From Goa, again, some of the new things that they said were they were impressed by the committed government officials and also by the passionate volunteers. And also the government solutions said we got first-hand experience of the sufferings of the migrants. Yeah, they are very, very important learnings for our future collaboration, future commitment and service for the for working for migrants. And just a few more comments, random comments on the issue of migrants, for serving them, for reaching out to them. Some of them are there will be much better results and effectiveness if we think big when we start working for migrants. That is, if you are able to join hands with others, and if you are able to network with others, the state, at the state level or other district level with the governments, network to arrive at a plan with similar activities and achieve commonly accepted objectives, like what they have in Kerala, the Kismet experience across Kerala with 12 migrant desks in all the districts is something that could be tried out, and that could be a good learning. Several states have many solution communities. All these communities have become migrant desks could become migrant desks serving the locality and neighborhood, sharing one plan. That is to say that the solution communities need not stay back and say we are meant for something else, but then let all the solution communities in India become places where migrants are welcome, and there would be a kind of desk established in all these communities, so that from this desk people will go out and then serve the migrants in a way that would be helpful to them. When it is a network, we know that it can be less costly, more effective, and we can reach out to more people. That is to say that we need not buy a piece of land, put up a building, and we need not hire too many staff members. But when it is network, we can do it from a desk, and it is empowering migrants to stand on, to help these migrants to stand on their legs, to be citizens anywhere in the country with their rights and entitlements. And that is what must happen when we are working with the migrants, because these people, though they are coming from other parts of the country or from outside the state, they are still the citizens of India, and so they have the rights, their citizenship rights, and also other entitlements to which they have an access to. We have become aware of the vulnerabilities of migrants during this particular period of the COVID and the lockdown. We know that they live a life of extreme vulnerability. That is, these migrant workers are into a lot of pain and struggle. A recent study that said 55% of migrant workers in India, their per day income is about 200 to 400 rupees for a family size of 4 people. And of this, 42% of them will not have food left behind the family because they will have to live on a day-to-day basis with what they earn. So, 95% during this COVID, we know that migrants struggle to go back to their families. And even after all this struggle that we are watching and seeing and we are feeling so sorry about, the studies say that 33% of migrants still are stuck in the destination with the lack of food, water, and money. 94% of migrant construction workers don't have workers' identity card. So possibility of accessing benefits declared by the government is very, very less. In the lockdown period, government schemes failed to take care of the relief that were supposed to reach the migrants. They had to decide to walk long distances back to their families in spite of the fact that they are in spite of the fact that they knew that it's going to be long distances with a lot of violence on the way, hunger, accidents, health hazards, deaths, etc. And those who got stuck in the places where they were working, they were living in extreme hunger, thirst, and poverty. Government systems in general didn't work for the vast majority of migrants during COVID. Industries, NGOs, political parties, individuals, they pitched into support. But how long can these volunteers and charity mode go on? How many can they reach out? Government claimed that they have declared there are many benefits and schemes for the migrants, but most didn't have information about benefits. When I say most of the migrants who are suffering did not have information about benefits, or they did not have the skill to access these benefits. Very few had information and knew how to access benefits. An important learning is that all of us Salesians must know what are the schemes and policies and the kind of benefit that the government has for these migrants. And so once we have this awareness, we should be able to go out and then create awareness among the migrants so that they are also able to get these benefits and be empowered by that. It is important to advocate for them rather than the parallel government of just giving a few ration items and support them with some materials. It is not about giving them shelter, but ensure that their contractors give them proper shelter. It is not about giving them food, but distribution of food, but ensure that they are able to access food, the public distribution system, one ration and one nation. It is ensuring just wages and not giving them money in their time of need. It is to ensure that their children are able to go to school for education at the destinations of their migration and they don't go to the streets. It is empowering them to access legal support, law and order. It is about ensuring proper health support, the public health systems. It is about empowering them with financial literacy and insurance. Voting rights at the destination would prove that they are wanted by political parties, and there will be naturally and automatically there will be collectives and unions, and with that they also will be able to bargain for their rights. So that they can live as citizens with dignity. And we have learned all this from our experiences of COVID and working for migrants during this COVID. So let us make our learnings from our serving migrants. Let these learnings become our basis for future plans, for our creation of a future plan to reach out to them effectively. And I wish Yarpalam all the best. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Father Matthew Thomas, for that very comprehensive and very valid points. Except for the last wish. The last wish is not for your forum, but all Solution India. Let us wish all Solution India as we go forward with your ministry. Oh, sorry,
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Thanks for the correction. That is true.
Thanks, Father Matthew Thomas. Yes. So with that, we will conclude this segment, and we move on to the third segment, which actually we can say is the purpose of this consultation. This is not a seminar, this is not an input session, as you can see. We want to come out of this program today with some sharp, clear ideas towards a common plan for the whole country, for India, taking in the wisdom, the learnings, the experiences from across the provinces. So what we are asking in segment 3 is, with your understanding, experience of the situation of young migrant workers, propose key strategies, and if you are allergic to strategies, key activities that should find a place in our plan for our work with young migrant workers. Put a target of 3 years. You can make your suggestions for a group of provinces, like a region if you like, or for a countrywide plan. We are not asking for a comprehensive plan. The most important component, 3, 4, 5. Those who are from the provinces, the delegates from the provinces answering these are George Miranda, Mumbai, Patrick Lepcha, Kolkata, John Puducherry, Dimapur, Joseph Teran, Guwahati, Anto Malekal, Hyderabad, Thomas Pidi, Bangalore, Joe Prabhu, Chennai, Jose Sequeira, Pune, Genesis Wanyang, Shillong, and Xavier Michael Trichy. Can I request Father Joseph Teran, Vice Provincial Guwahati, to lead this session, take the lead for this session. Father Joseph Teran, and others who will intervene, please type your name.
Thank you, Father. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes. We cannot hear that.
Hello, everyone. I'm glad to present from a point of view here the third aspect, and that is a plan for a province or a group of provinces. I would like to suggest the following. 1. Set up a migrant desk at the earliest possible, most probably at the Don Bosco Richard Bureau, which will work under the Province Development Office (PDO). Secondly, identify some key areas within the province and set up service cells. Thirdly, write a project to support the migrant desk and appoint a lead professional staff with some field staff. Fourthly, start collecting data on migrants involving all our local communities. And lastly, identify and provide training for jobs locally available, strengthening the existing job placement cell. Now, for a countrywide plan, I would like to suggest the following. 1. Networking among the provinces and with the government under the leadership of YAR Forum. Secondly, data and experience and resource sharing among the provinces. Thirdly, to go advocacy at the national level. Fourthly, revive DBTech with better focus on the present issues. And lastly, tapping the resources that the government provides. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Teran, for clear, sharp recommendations. Father John Puducherry from Dimapur, speaking from Tinsukia, Assam. Father John.
Okay, good afternoon. Good afternoon. I go straight to the question and the answers that we suggested. We said, first of all, we need to have
a scientific research, a data collection before we could do anything at all. So we have already got the questionnaires ready for research. Creation of awareness among confreres about this seriousness of the matter. As there are various facets to the issue of migration, every setting should take it up with greater urgency, not just the YAR centers alone, every parish, school, college, youth center, and every setting that we have. Publication of issues related to the migrants in our province, newsletter, WhatsApp group, and any other possible means publication. We also think of conducting seminars and study sessions, especially to disseminate data and other knowledge among the confreres. Community reading and reflection on the church documents related to this issue to get a better knowledge about how the church is dealing with it. I'm putting both together, so another few seconds more. Direct exposure of young solutions to the centers where migrant ministry is carried out in the country. We could share this as a national program, young solutions to be given exposure. Father Taran already said collaborative works. We suggested that we could have a collaborative work among the 3 provinces of Northeast, Shillong, Guwahati, and Dimapur, and similar collaborations in other similar situations, and also countrywide networking for this, and similar tie-ups also among the provinces in the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Father John, for those very practical suggestions. We have Father Xavier Michael from Trichy, followed by George Miranda from Vadodara for INM, followed by Father Patrick Lepcha and Jose Sequeira. Father Xavier Michael from Trichy.
Can you hear?
Yes, Father. Yeah.
Yes. With regard to the state-wise, we are proposing that we can work as a Tamil Nadu state together with the Chennai desk and proposing the following strategies. First is neighborhood ministry that are already done by each solution houses can be extended to the migrant workers. Second, skill training centers can be used as centers for skill upgradation of the migrants. We need a lot of flexibility, and according to their needs, having it in the evening hours after their working hours, or on weekends, or on government holidays, etc. Third, job placement services both at local level and national level can be availed in order to provide better job opportunities and a follow-up service. Fourth, short stay services could be provided before they could find a place for themselves, and also a working men's hostel for young migrants. Lastly, formation of unions similar to that of state level Mother Teresa Unorganized Welfare Union presently operating at Salem, Don Bosco, and Vellum. The past 15 years of their learnings can help to start a national level welfare union. Second part, countrywide plan. Set up a centralized help desk with attractive call number, appoint personnel who are fluent in different languages to attend the calls and direct it to local help desk like the Childline Services. Second, this would help in state-wise mapping of movements of the migrant, and the documentation can help in lobbying. Third, the possibility of starting a linking up with a national open schooling, which is a flexible system to help the education of the children of the migrants. For higher education of the youngsters, we can offer distant education from our own Don Bosco University. Involve the solution family members like the sisters, disciples, cooperators, and past peoples, as well as the CRI at different levels. Regular TOT program could be organized at the state level and national level in order to help in capacity building for them. Lastly, collaboration between the source and destination states, providing pre-departure counseling at the source area and post-departure counseling as well as skill training and job placement at the destination area. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Xavier Michael, for that sharing with lots of practical points. One or two of the participants who have responded have shared their material in the chat box. It will be good if you can just mail it to us if you have written down. The chat box, I think, will disappear as soon as we finish the meeting, so it will be difficult for us to save it. Please mail it to us or WhatsApp to us whatever you have written, and that will help us to compile the notes. Thank you. Over to Father George Miranda, INM from Vadodara.
Yes, Father. For the first part, for plan for province or provinces, the first suggestions that we had was every Salesian institution in the vicinity of migrant settlements could adopt a group of migrant families and commit itself to their welfare and progress. Second, the migrant desk will study the labor laws related to migrants and use social media to highlight these issues. Third, each of the YAR centers will network with state departments and NGOs working with and for migrants on different issues. Fourth, migrant desks will coordinate issues related to migrants with different Salesian houses and Salesian family. And fifth, use of social media and newsletters to highlight issues related to migrants. And at the countrywide plan, we had the following suggestions. First is to network with development offices and advocacy on issues related to migrants. Appoint a full-time Salesian for migrant work at the national level. Send regular updates on migrants to different provinces. Fourth, coordinate and network with different migrant desks of the provinces. And lastly, once a year, have a national meet on migrants' issues and challenges. Thank you, Father.
Thank you very much, George, for that contribution from Mumbai province. Father Patrick Lecture from Kolkata. Father Patrick has actually done some studies on migrants.
Good evening to all. Yes, thank you, Father. Sorry, but I did not do really on these migrants, some other kind of migrants. But anyway, I did some kind of studies. So going straight to the question answer for our proposal for our own province, Kolkata, we have planned and decided to open a migrant desk at Kolkata, most probably in Howrah station, and collect data. Second, conduct awareness programs in various settings. Third, provide vocational training to these young migrants. Then fourth, assist them in job placement through the province placement cell, which has begun last year onwards from the Bosconet. Then provide counseling facilities wherever necessary, and also provide spiritual support to the young migrants, which is being done in Calcutta for one or two groups, not for all kind of groups, this spiritual help. A proposal for country, I think we need to establish a national level migrant desk, just previous speaker had spoken. Then networking with all the provinces. And I think we need to plan out for some fundraising strategies, tapping government resources. And we're saying National YAR Forum or the national level migrant desk to provide technical as well as financial assistance to the province migrant initiatives. Those have not begun. So these are the plan that we have put forward for national and for our province level. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Patrick. We now have Father Jose Sequeira from Goa. And since no one else has typed the names after this, can I request Genesius, followed by Anto, followed by Thomas Pili, followed by Joe Prabhu. Thank you. Father Jose from MBBS.
Yes, Father. Yeah. Yes, Father. For a plan for the province or the group of provinces, we have put down three things. We already have data that we have collected, whether it is one province or the other provinces. We have data, and maybe we could work on the data that we have already collected. It could also mean maybe sharing this data, which will help to enhance the work for the young migrants. Then the second is plan response as per the districts, province, region. I was quite taken up by what the Chennai province, Bangalore province was doing with the Kismet program. Maybe that could be replicated not only in our province but also in the other places. And the third one is set up quick response teams at the province level, especially for our province also, and maybe the others, who can immediately respond to maybe thus help in emergency cases. For our countrywide plan, the first thing that I put is establish linkages with the NGOs and the government, both at the source and destination, so that it will help us for effective ministry towards the migrant. This would also include when we build networking or linkages with the government, we also look into the funds which can help the effective implementation of this work for the young migrant. And the last what we have put is open the doors for the children of migrants in our schools, whether it is in our province, maybe wherever, if the children have moved from one place to another place, that will help them to maybe study and not to give up on studies.
Thank you, Father Jose. Father Genesis from Shillong.
So good evening. Our province, we have not done much things for the migrants. So we have few things intending to do for them. The first one, starting migrant help desk with a full coordinator to help the migrants. Then we thought of starting collecting data about migrants in our state and whole province, then providing them with some skill trainings. Then we work in close collaboration with line departments, various stakeholders, such as NGOs, CSOs, and the solution communities. Then in the country, we have a forum body, but we need to strengthen the national body for migrants. Then we expect the national level to help us in advocacy for the rights and entitlements of migrants. Then we also, as a province, we need support from the national level, build a network with other provinces in order to understand and help our migrants here in our province. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Genesius. Can we now listen to Mr. Anton Malekal from Vijayawada, from Hyderabad province?
Yes. Good evening. Yes, again, Father Balashwari is on the line. We have already established 6 migration desks in the province, and also during this epidemic COVID-19, we have reached far and wide these migration families. We want to propose, there are 5 proposals. One is caring community, network and forum in collaboration with the government line departments and the federated structures at the province level, regional and national level. Second one is adolescent parliaments and youth volunteers core group among the target communities and the federated structures. Third one, helpline by migrant desk, possible in collaboration with the government and the federated structures. Fourth one, capacity building of the team members and the target groups. Fifth one, research on migrants and the collection and analysis of data and the facilitation of basic documents and insurance coverage, etc. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Balashwari. We now have Father Thomas P.D. from Cochin for Bangalore province. Father Thomas P.D.
Good evening. Can you hear?
Yes, clear.
Okay. 3 strategies for province for the next 3 years. One is spread the work for migrants to all the communities in the province. Second one is research studies, publications, consultations for advocacy and lobbying for law protecting migrants. Third one is source and destination interventions to make a network for safe migration. 3 strategies for the country for the next 3 years. First one is source destination networking via YAR forum across the country to promote safe migration. Second one, surveys, research studies, publications, consultations in order to create strategies for intervention. Third one is lobbying for a law with regard to wages and legal entitlements based on experience and study results. That's it from me.
Thank you, Father Thomas. Last of the province delegates who are speaking, Father Joe Prabhu from Chennai.
Good evening to all of you. From our province, can you hear me, please?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, let me go ahead. From the province or in collaboration with other provinces, first one is a state-wise mapping. Social mapping is needed to know the actual interstate or intrastate migrants by setting up help desks in all the source districts of our province, and in a special way in Viluppuram, Hosur, Thiruvannamalai, Vellore, etc., through a mobile app yet to be created. Second one, creation of legal framework or system. First sub-point, registration of unskilled laborers or young people should be done by the migrant help desk at all the districts. Secondly, legal awareness should be drawn to advocate for interstate and intrastate migrants of labor laws and labor issues. Wherever we need, and our networking partners, we do it through their collaboration. Thirdly, skill training, counseling and guidance. Training the unskilled youth, job placement through the coordination of a DB Valigati. Third one, pre-departure and arrival counseling to know their rights and to assist them to acquire legal documents. Fourth point is advocacy and lobbying with the government departments, and also have a signing of MOUs between states for the legal rights of the migrants. Fifth point, medical and spiritual support to families. Periodically organize medical camps through professionals, and spiritual support or accompaniment through CRI members or seminarians. Now for the national level. One, mapping of vulnerable and the source areas, especially in six states we are suggesting: UP, Bihar, Jharkhand, West Bengal, Odisha, Assam, to prevent unsafe migration. Networking, second point. Unorganized workers, movements, NGOs, activists, federations to advocate together on migrant issues and challenges, especially on the labor code. Third, the last point, not the least, advocacy and lobbying. Advocate migrants' issues, minimum wages, working conditions, safety and social security in the Supreme Court and respective high courts, and also lobbying for national policy on migrants. That is one nation, one ration card. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Joe Prabhu. We will take few more interventions if someone would like to add some more. We have Father Arul Maran, Vice Provincial Trichy, who will intervene now. Father Arul.
Father, good evening. Good evening to everyone. The number of provinces have raised concerns regarding lack of data with regard to migrants. So to start with, at least can we have a database of all the migrants with whom we are in touch with? I think that will be easy to start with. That is one suggestion. Second, can we have a migration software like HomeLink which can address source and destination issues. So a number of problems could be sought out and settled. Thank you.
Father Maran, when we did the migrants desk, we had actually adapted Homelink to take in the data. We have some, though we expected about 8,000, some 3,000-4,000 had been entered after it had stopped. But if the volume is very high, whether it can be done or not, we will study. It's a very good suggestion. Thank you for that, Father Maran. Father George Matthew. Father George Matthew.
Yeah, good evening, Father Tony and others. Just one suggestion, if possible. I think many of us have talked about the need for data, and some of us on the need for a research or a lack of it. I think this is an opportune time now that we are confronted with this reality, and we have also intervened through mostly, let's say, relief services. It's a good opportunity and time to really reach out and understand the situation, the dynamics, and we already have a reach between the different networks, different institutions who have reached out. Some amount of data is there, and through them, through snowballing, we can reach many more and get a realistic picture leading to possibly policy level decisions for Solution India between all our networks as a collaborated venture, and also use the same for advocacy at the local, state, as well as national levels. I think we have enough possible, let's say, respondents or possible resources among our networks and interventions to initiate and activate such an activity. This might give us consolidated information for a considered strategy and action. Thank you.
Thank you, Father George Matthew, for a very valid suggestion. I do not see any more names. Is there someone who would want to intervene? Okay, then to conclude this segment, which has been full of very, very needed, valid and practical suggestions, we have Dr. J. Henry Rosario. He is not a stranger to us. I think he's been the professor of a number of prominent people who have spoken on the forum today. He's been accompanying us for 1 year now in our Imagine YAR ministry, journeying together into tomorrow, in which at least 7 provinces took up the migrants' work as one of the key priorities. And at the last governing body meeting, we identified that as one of the top 3 priorities at the national level. Dr. Henry is also the one who actually did the bulk of the work for the book, the analysis and the report of the book that we are going to release today, which is also on migrants. So I'm very happy that Dr. Henry agreed to be with us today and to give us his respective inputs. Over to you, Father, Dr. Henry.
Yeah, thank you. I'm father of 3 children. Okay. Very privileged to be part of this group. I would say this is an honor for me. I'll be very brief. I'll be trying to talk about from what you have said about your responses. Like Father Tony may prefer the word strategies and others may prefer the word activities. So what could be the responses from my end as I have observed you? But before I go into it, a lot of appreciation for all the provinces and especially those people who I think have painstakingly taken some effort to prepare this presentation. What I could see as your strength as of now is one is a lot of knowledge and inclination towards macro issues. For example, a lot of people spoke about labor code and labor laws, portability and PDS, and lack of data and lack of networking, even among us. And that itself is a very big thing. No, like there is a very clear transition from a welfare or service-oriented approach to more of a very, very professional approach. I put it on record, and I appreciate the group for their knowledge and inclination towards macro issues. Number two, awareness of unique geographical issues. A lot of people spoke about the stigma, ridicule, suspicion, rejection of the migrant workers who have come to that local area. And sometimes the possibility of domestic violence, sexual abuse, and a lot of antisocial options if they are going to be unemployed for a long time. That was very, very precise presentation. Thirdly, I really appreciate you for the quick humanitarian responses. I was following Father Francis Bosco in Facebook, and I assume that a lot of provinces, as you have done now, you have responded in a very, very basic humanitarian way. That is the crux of the matter. I appreciate you for that. And in some places, their ability to network with the government, donors, and volunteers was really fantastic. The last 2 points of my appreciation is at least a few people talked about a need for a study, a need for a proper response, a need for a proper evaluation of how we have responded. This meeting itself is a classic example of that. You have gone through 3 questions and discussed in depth, and you have actually done in the study, response, and evaluation pattern. And this is what my appreciation for you. Some of the innovative responses, just quickly running through, can be employment and underemployment. I think a lot of people raise that issue. I think that should be the topmost priority. I'm not elaborating because of lack of time. If you have any questions, I should be able to clarify. Number 2 will be the skill training. If by chance they are not going to go back, if they are going to stay back in the departure place, what are we going to do? Are we going to equip them, and in what skills? If the skills they have been working in the destination is not going to suit them in the place of departure. That is probably an area where you can think of, and you don't have much time for that. These are all quick responses. Third would be children's education. If by chance they have almost lost 1 year, they may not be going back, and they may not be able to put them. So what can be an innovative response for children's education and handling children at home? Okay, because of I mean, domestic violence includes violence on children also. So that could be a third area. The fourth is I was thinking of developing an emergency guidelines, emergency response guidelines. For example, when this lockdown took place, more or less we responded, but not in a very organized way, because we never anticipated this. We did something. From these lessons, imagine if such thing happens in the future, how to coordinate with the government officials, how to now get it done by the employers, and how to organize and coordinate among ourselves between the departure and the destination. So if we can develop guidelines for that, which is something like, disaster or emergency response guidelines, that was one idea that was coming into my mind. The last point in a short-term or time-being response could be already what you have already talked about, presence in social media. I referred about for Francis Bosco in Facebook. What I understood, I was realizing that he was doing something for the migrants. Now, that itself is an advocacy. It's not a publicity. It is an advocacy. So how many of us are going to be present, or whatever we have done, we are going to make it visible, is probably what I thought is one area. This is for innovative responses for the time being. There are some basic responses for long term, on which the first point is, we always say knowledge is power. So I think all Salesian people who are working in this with the migrants need some clarity on labor codes and how it is going to impact, because everyone talked about it. But is it possible for the national team to organize some sort of Dr. Shivakumar was very clearly talking about, he has gone through it actually, So likewise, unless we have very clear-cut knowledge about labor codes and how it is different from labor laws. What are the misfortunes of labor codes? I don't think we won't be able to go for advocacy, because I heard a lot of people talking about advocacy. Advocacy, before going for advocacy, you need to stand strong on your ground. You need to be equipped completely with what you are actually talking about. So that is one area I think a national team can take an initiative. Then the next point is networking among the solution organizations. Actually, 2-3 people talked about they didn't know how many people came from the destination where solutions were working, because these people are in the departure zone. So I think this highlighted the need for creating better linkages within solutions and within those who are working with the migrants, number one. Number two, within the networking with other solution organizations like DB Tech, because skill training, we need their support. What about the legal forums? If the solutions have a like Deepika, if they have got a legal forum, what about linking with them when it comes to these labor codes and labor laws? So the second area I was just trying to come out with your own ideas. What I have done is just trying to put shape into whatever you have said. So that is what is the linking aspect. Third, among provinces, I think that point also came from you. It's not only among Salesians working with the migrants, not only among Salesians working with the like-minded groups, but among provinces also. This is the second point. The third is migrant desk. I think few people definitely talked about. That takes us to the very important area of registration. Even the research study talks a lot about it. What we are going to release. If we have done a lot on that, which could have helped some social security and some welfare measures for them instead of completely being abandoned during this lockdown. So that probably could be a migrant desk at the province linked to the national level, and then going straight away for some registration in terms of social security and welfare measures. Last 2 points, maybe in 1 minute I'll finish. Fundraising. There could be a possibility for fundraising, and I think national team can take a lead in this area. You know what happened when tsunami struck us in 2005 and 6? That was the time, I mean, everyone who is in the social sector know a lot of money came into the country. Likewise, it is possible that after this lockdown scenario, a lot of money could be coming in. I mean, if we have very imaginative, innovative projects, I think we should be capitalizing on that. Last point, this is the time for us to think. If we are very strong in destination, are we also equally strong in departure areas? Because it is from there migration takes place. We are very strong in receiving them and putting them in place in the destination, but equally is it possible for us to become strong? Thank you very much, and big congratulations to the national team for these questions and organizing this symposium or conference.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Henry. Always to the point, always sharp, always relevant. Thank you for those points which synthesized very well whatever was shared and took us further to specific focus areas. I think Dr. Henry will be happy to take a couple of questions if someone has questions.
Yeah.
Any questions? I cannot see you all, so you would have to type your name or just start talking. If someone has a question.
Hello?
Yes, please go ahead.
Dr. Henry, thank you for your input. And for the last nearly 2.5 hours, we have been this consultation is going on. I don't see anyone coming up on the preventive measures. What do I mean? Prevention of unnecessary migration. Are we working towards it?
Yeah.
Or how do we bring it in the framework?
Yes.
Moving from micro to macro, that is, if we can concentrate, each state can concentrate on their own migrants and try to find fitting solutions within their state rather than they move to some other state. For example, Tamilians moving to Maharashtra, if they can be prevented in the source area, as you mentioned the last point, the source, and even going out of the country, if they can be provided, if a Tamilian is going to work as a welder in Maharashtra, he can use the same skill here instead of Maharashtrian coming to Tamil Nadu to use his same skill. So on prevention, can we consider something?
Yeah, I think I will make it again very brief. Every organization has got a scope of working. What you are telling is actually going to the roots of the issue. And if you have the capability and wherewithal, I think you should start working on that. That was my last point. I put it in a very different way. You seem to be very strong. You are very strong in the destination. I asked, are you also strong in the departure place? What did I mean by that? Probably that is one area where we can think of understanding why migration takes place. As you said, migration is not merely economical. You do a lot of study, you will understand it is psychological. People who are very happy with the salary and all that, still they want to go to some other place because it is not simply economical issue. So we need to go in depth into the migration, the social, economical, psychological factors, and see whether we will be able to, by skill training and by linking the employer and the employee, whether we can do that. Recently, I am part of HR forum. The discussion that is going on in the HR forum in Tamil Nadu is how these HR managers are going to employ more of local people rather than going to go after migrants. Okay, now, though it may look positive or negative to you, one advantage of that is if in every place, if they look for employing the local people, that is one way of stopping migration also. So this is what I wanted to tell. I think this is good enough.
Thank you, Dr. Henry. Is there any other question? Doesn't look like. Thanks a lot, Dr. Henry.
Not a question to Dr. Henry, but maybe I will come in the next part, fourth segment. Thank you.
So we go to the fourth segment as indicated by Father Joe. This segment is open house. We have had 70 to 80 people participating in the session, and not too many have got an opportunity to talk. So if anyone would like to add, comment, ask a question, we have some time. And if Father Joe Prabhu wants to start, you can.
Okay then. At the national level, can we create a sub-commissions as a follow-up of this one? One thing which I already mentioned is the prevention. Can we have a sub-commission to work towards what the last point Dr. Henry mentioned about? All the legal persons, can they form a forum to discuss on to make whatever we talked about on advocacy and the lobbying and the skill training? A sub-commission for a skill training in collaboration with the DB Tech at the national level and the technical commission in the province level, and a fundraising commission for BoscoNet in the national level and PDOs in the local or in the province level, and so on and so forth. I just pointed out few sub-commissions. So sub-commissions can work effectively to bring about a convergence. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Joe. We will note the suggestion. If somebody else wants to respond or go to another topic, you're welcome. Whatever suggestions come in, we will entrust to people who will actually study it in detail, at length, in depth, and they will come up with a plan, hopefully. But if someone wants to respond on this, or if you want to raise any other issue, please do.
Father.
Yes, yes.
Father, what Father Joe Prabhu is saying is also interesting, and it also when we were discussing, many things came inside. See, keeping yard centers, I don't think we are justifying the migrants, and that's our experience, and it becomes another responsibility like that. I would prefer, that's the way with the past 3 years, we are not able to link together. And such a tragedy should occur and we have to talk on this. That's a sad news, sad thing. So I'll be happy if that is seriously taken also. Migration or migrants, a special desk in the national level has to be highlighted. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Bosco. I will intervene on personal capacity. I fully agree with what Father Bosco said. In 2015, towards the end of 2015, YAR was entrusted with the task of drawing up a plan. And we took half a year to draw up the plan that was presented to SPCSA. It was accepted. And in order to give it a push, we supported 8 migrant desks in India with support from Rector Major. The provinces had committed to carry forward those migrant desks. And at the end of that first year, we were supposed to take the learnings again back to the SPCSA, which we did in our limited capacity in February 2018. After that, the work slumped a bit. I fully agree that the work of this magnitude cannot be handled by YAR alone. It needs some rethink. What actual structure we should do, we can explore. Yeah, it has to be, in fact, in 2015, when the idea came up, it was supposed to have been the whole solution family, not just the SDPs. So we need to move in those directions. I support what Father Bosco said. Yes, Father. Yes, Dr. Dr. Hen.
I think.
Yeah, Father Vincent. I cannot see everyone, so you just talk or you type the name. Yeah.
Yeah. Congrats. Everything went on very well. I really appreciate Rosario for his overall view about it. But just I would like to highlight the work that we have been doing already, especially in reception home. For example, in Chennai, around 50 of them got that viral fever. All those boys are migrant children. And see the solutions we could concentrate in this reception home where the migrant children are there to settle them back in the destiny. And the same way, in the vigilance zone, there are around 60-70 girls from different states. They land up because of some problem. They land up in the brothel house and then they are brought to vigilance zone. So those people are waiting someone to help them. And also in prison, we have been working, but we could encourage our solutions to get into this field. Thank you, Father.
Thank you, Father Vincent. We'll take 1 or 2 more interventions if there are. If there are none, it will be over to Father Tadeu. Father Tadeusz and anyone else after that, Father Tadeusz, and after Father Tadeusz, anyone else? 1 minute.
Joe Prabhu. Okay. It was beautiful, nice to learn many things from the all aspects and different on that province national level. Now, a few things about it that now, the YAR is young at risk. We have been working only for this particular young at risk, that's all, young people. But today, when we speak about the migrants, we are summarizing the bigger way, the family and this and that is how we went about treating not only the young people, but also the parents and this and that. So now, again, we say when we say migrants, the rich people are migrating. Who are people migrating? Whom are we targeting? Very important. So it is our good time for the national level, province level to target the young at risk migrants. Very important. Otherwise, the whole family we are trying to help out. It is not okay, I feel. Otherwise, we will be so many extend the whole thing. So good to that we focus on particular the young at risk migrants, not the parents and so on. Then there's some other people can take over. So thank you. God bless you. Yes, all the best.
Hello.
Thank you, Father Thaddeus.
Yeah.
And I think Father Joe Prabhu wanted to intervene. After Father Joe Prabhu, is there anyone else who wants to intervene? Francis Dodia. And so that will be the last. Father Joe Prabhu and Francis Dodia.
Okay. My question is, what next? Okay, we have collected the different level, consultation, local level and the national level. One important thing we usually forget is the dissemination of this experience that we have gone through. So my point is that dissemination, how it can be done through social media, to social platforms in a very creative manner. All that we have done, kind of a report can be circulated for comments and proofreading and finalization for publication. We need to publish this document we have, which can be, because after all this work, if we only keep some papers in hand and stop with it doesn't make any sense. So we have to go for a publication. And when it comes to releasing the publication, we can invite some other government officials and experts through just prepare one's folder or a brochure of 4 pages, 6 pages, whatever it is, and release this document officially, so that we are taking on a very big level whatever we have discussed on a micro level. Thank you. I am through with it.
Francis Dodia, and after that, Father Santanam, the final last.
Yes, Father. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. In segment 2, I would like to add that the migrant people do not have their own documents. And
Little louder, yeah. A little louder.
Or which documents should be attested so we can help them somewhere.
Francis, if you can keep the mic near you. Keep the mic near.
Okay. Now it's okay?
Yeah, it's better now.
Yeah. In segment 2, I would like to add that the migrant people don't have their own documents and they doesn't know how to get the data or which document should be attached here, so we can help them somewhere. Hello.
Speak. Francis, speak. No, we can't hear you.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, I would like to add that the migrant people don't have their documents and they doesn't know how to get the document from government or which document should be attested, so we can help them somewhere.
Thank you, Francis. We got the idea that we should help the migrants with documents.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay. Father Santanam.
Yes. I would like to reiterate 3 points. One is, I think, as we said, there is an in-depth looking a way forward. We need to an in-depth study into the issues of migrants, linking both source and destination and all the nuances. Secondly, we need to prepare a plan for preparing solutions, and our lay collaborators for this mission. You know, of one's own individual initiative, some people have ventured into it, and maybe a plan for preparing solutions and lay collaborators into this mission, understanding all the nuances, the legal aspects. Just now is speaking about employability, all that. Thirdly, we need to prepare also an SOP, standard operating procedures, as Dr. Henry was telling, sharing the immediate emergency responses to this migrant situation. If we can, I think, look at these three aspects, I think we will get some direction in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Santana. So thank you everyone for those valuable suggestions on so many different aspects. We have all of them recorded. We will be giving full consideration to all the suggestions, and hopefully some team will be set up, as has been suggested by so many people, who can study this in more detail and come up with a plan sooner than later. May I now invite Father Tati Reddy, Provincial Hyderabad, to give us his message and also to release our long-awaited study report. Father Tati.
Thank you, Father Tony, to Father Biju, to Father Kurvachira, Father Tony Aquinas, Dr. Shivashankar, Dr. Henry, and all the champions of the migrants. Good evening to you. As Salesians, we have embarked on a journey that is compelling, urgent, and inviting. Congratulations. There has been a humongous crisis and a challenge that is made evident by COVID-19. The silver lining is that we have intensified our work and our awareness and began to act. Thanks to the National Yard Forum, for the Tony, the Executive Director, and for Aquinas, for the Koshi, and for the Matthew, the former Executive Directors, for initiating the process long before the pandemic hit us and hit the migrants very hard. For the Tony and for the Aquinas and the entire national team has been very passionate, and we see that this passion is carried forward, and certainly it has become contagious, and all of us, the presence of all of us is a testimony to that. And I thank all the participants for a very active participation and for very rich and intense sharing. It has been a great harvest. We have been trying to put ideas together to come up with an action plan. Certainly it has been a great harvest of ideas on migration, and I'm sure with this rich input that we had, we will be able to cull out the essentials and chalk out a wonderful plan, course of action. I would like to just a couple of points that struck me in our discussions and sharing. We have seen this invisible plight of migrants that has been made visible thanks to COVID. But most of us are aware of this fact, the plight of the migrants. But unfortunately, this is, yes, we are aware and we feel pity for them. And yes, we have reached out in charity, in service to most of them. But for some reasons, this has not become a movement. I was just reflecting on what happened in the US. You know, you have George Floyd, all of us are aware of it. It has become a great movement of people. And I believe time has come for us also to initiate this visibility, or to take forward this visibility into creating a movement towards the care and protection and support of the migrants. And certainly we need to stir the conscience of the public and take lead in this. The second area is towards giving dignity and identity, and this is very beautifully brought out by all the provinces and by all the speakers, to overcome the social alienation and systemic exclusion by being with the migrants and understanding their plight, and then working for them. And certainly this should lead us forward from charity and from development model to rights-based approach and sustainable model. Already the other day when we had the meeting, a couple of presenters have already shared these ideas. And one of the things, even towards the end, that we were talking about is research and data. Data is very powerful. Data speaks, and data is very important for us to act. And so we need to have this scientific methodology into the understanding of the migrants' issues, and therefore research is very essential and crucial. And one idea that I was already sharing with Father Tony earlier is to more or less adopt a kind of organic structure, to have an organic approach to this the whole issue of migrants, or to the migrant ministry. The other day we had a presentation of a few provinces, and the Bangalore province has presented an organic structure of the migrant ministry. I think it's a wonderful way, or this can be certainly be replicated even at the national level. What Father Joe Prabhu and also Father Bosco was suggesting, that we could come up with a kind of a task force or a sub-commission to coordinate the efforts of all the provinces. One challenge that we faced during this crisis was the source states and destination states. There is a lot of movement of migrants, and many people did not know whom to approach, and even coordination became very difficult. So there could be a central or national coordination. I do not know if we can call it a team, or at least a task force with one person or two, or with even one Salesian in charge and lay support staff. That could be one idea that we can seriously think of. Then regarding also the migrant tasks, I think most provinces already now are certainly aware of this need. And even in our province, we have asked all the communities to set up a migrant task, to very consciously move towards this in this direction. So that is one big area that, or we can involve all the Salesians, not just the YAR, the Salesians involved in YAR ministry, but also all the other Salesians in the provinces and the laity who are collaborating with us. There's also one idea of prevention that has come in. Certainly, when we have a clear social understanding, or understand the social situation of the locality, we can help our local communities, the villages, etc., to prevent from migrating to cities. And we can also provide opportunities on help in terms of thinking together with people and suggesting ways and means how they can come up with livelihoods locally. The other major idea is that of networking between the provinces, within the province, also between the communities, and also between the provinces of India, South Asia region, and also with the other church organizations, NGOs, and even the government organizations. Another idea is the national access number for the migrants. Earlier we were talking about toll-free number. Then when I had discussion with Father Tony, was saying, it needs a lot of investment of personnel and also logistics. But at least we could come up with some sort of access number. If a migrant is in crisis, or he or she is in need, they could contact us. And since we already have a mechanism in the provinces, they can contact persons and get placed. Lastly, the importance of government national policy for migrants, and the importance of advocacy. These are some of the areas that I wanted to share with us. Once again, thanks to everyone, all the participants, and at one time the number dropped down to 64. I'm very happy to see again the number now is 88. So thanks for your patience in participating in this meeting, and thanks to all of you for sharing your ideas. Father Tony has requested me to present the book release. This is a wonderful book. I do not know if Father Tony has a plan of presenting this book. Do you have? Are you going to say a few words, or do you want me to do complete this process?
It's all over to you, Father Tati, but there is a 1 minute video prepared by Father Aquinas.
Okay.
That's after you release. After you release, 1 minute video from us, from the office, and then simultaneously the book is available from a link that will be shared to you. Anyone can download.
So we are talking about the importance of research, and I think this is a brilliant idea. It's a great work done, beautifully packed now for an official release. We thank Dr. Henry Rosario and Dr. Arukiraj, who were the research consultants. They did a phenomenal job of accompanying the entire process. And then we had the research advisors, Father Koshi Thomas, Father Aquinas Thomas, and Father Francis Bosca, and Father Joseph Leo. So we thank them for this great work. And the entire work is coordinated by Father Tony. We thank Father Tony. And we have, this research is based on 8 cities. So we have all the 8 Salesians in their respective cities. They have taken on this responsibility of coordinating the work. So we thank Father Bosco, who did the research and coordinated the research in Chennai. Father Sunny Joseph, Brother Sunny Joseph, who did the research in Dimapur. Father Tadeus in Guwahati. Father Greg Almeida in Mumbai. Father P.D. Thomas, my companion, in Thiruvananthapuram. Father Arul Kumar in Tirupur. Father Joe Fernandez in Vasco, Goa. And Father Balashabri in Vijayawada. So these are the 8 confreres who have really worked hard, coordinated, and this has come out really well. It's very beautifully presented, and so we give them a very big round of applause as we congratulate them. Let's thank them. Thank you for coming. It would be nice that Father Biju has actually Biju releases this. But Father Biju, you can extend your hand and we can jointly do so.
Happily. Thank you. Do it.
Oh my God, there are 2 covers. Okay, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. A very colorful graphic presentation. And I really love the presentation and the pictures. And of course, the content. That's the most important thing. The research that is done. So thank you. Over to you, Father Aquinas.
Thank you, Father Tati. 1 minute to give a few snapshots of the book. And the link, okay? For those who want the link.
Yeah, as soon as you complete it, I will share it.
he's given it. Just
No.
Okay.
I have sent.
You type it there also.
On your leaders also and on
Big
the
here.
both.
It is all typed.
All typed.
Let's see.
Posted.
Posted.
Yeah, posted that. It's in the yard also and the yard.
Thank you. Thank you, Father Tati, for your kind words and Father Aquinas for presenting. The book is available for download and the link has been shared with you.
It's there.
May I now invite Father Vitu, our regional, who has been quietly attending throughout this long session to share with us his thoughts. Father Vitu.
Thank you, Father Tony. Dear friends, we've been 3 hours on this already. So I'll try to do quickly what I would like to share with you. I would like to begin with a statement from the church as well as from the congregation. And these words is a question. How can we fail to think of all those young people affected by movements of migration? How can we think of can we fail to think of all those young people affected by movements of migration? This comes from Christus Vivit 92. And we are aware, and our chapter has been speaking much about this issue of migration. So it's very apt that we have had this national consultation put together by Yard Forum. And it's also very, very encouraging to see. I was trying to, though we cannot see everyone on the screen, I was checking through the names. And I noticed that all our networks, all the directors and more than the directors are present in this meeting. So for Tony, for the Aquinas, for the Koshi, for the Matthew Thomas from the YAR group, and of course, Father Tati as the provincial in charge. Then we had our experts, Dr. Shivakumar, Father Matthew Thomas, Dr. Henry Rosario. And then, as I said, the Father Robert Simon also has been very quietly listening and attending this program. He's our DBYA, under which all the youth animation activities happen. Father Noel and Father Santanam are present with us in this meeting. Father George Matthew and Father VM are there. Father Manipadam is present. And Father Sister Rose is present. Father Jose Kuruvachara is present. Among vice provincials, also Father Joseph Theron. And so it already tells us of a key element that we are talking about, networking among us, Salesians, and our various networks and institutions. That's already happening, which is a great thing. And another point that in summarizing Dr. Henry mentioned, we have become very conscious of the macro issues, which would be a key element in achieving some of the concluding words that Father Tati spoke about as to how we must move into the future, obviously summarizing from all that we shared today. Yesterday, I had opportunity to listen to Mr. Harsh Mandhan, IAS, civil society activist in our country, very famous. And he was referring to this COVID situation and the situation of the migrants as a civilizational crisis that we lived through. And then, of course, he explained that. So there is a context to why we are talking particularly now about this issue of migration. At the same time, I would like to now come back to the same document of the Church, Christus Vivit, where the Pope says we need to recognize that migration is a structural phenomenon and not a passing emergency. So it's a structural phenomenon which is going to remain with us. It's not just going to go away with this, which is why I think that point of macro issues becomes all the more crucial in our approach. In addition to the other networks, it's also important to mention that we have also for the job placement network, which is also a key feature within this. No, I forgot to mention that. When we speak of structural phenomenon that is going to be there with us, I also studied what Father Tony had shared with us earlier, the team had shared with us, a study, Reasons for Migration, Reverse Migration by MART Global Management. When we analyze that one, we see that almost everyone who went away, they're going to come back. So the whole question of reverse migration, where exactly that stands in the given context of our country and situation is, in all probability, the vast majority is going to come back into the cities. Our region, especially India, is a country that has huge migrant population in various parts of the world. However, our focus today is more on internal migration, and rightly we are focused on migration of young people who migrate out of extreme poverty, seeking opportunities to improve the living standards of their families. They are dreamers who are trying to achieve conditions to achieve a better future for themselves and their families and their nation in turn. If we might look at the Bible for an image, I was thinking of Joseph in the Old Testament, Genesis 37 following, just to please Father Thaddeus to give some numbers. So we have Joseph, who was a dreamer in his beginnings. And he is a young man who is actually trafficked into Egypt, which is the reality of many migrants. And there he becomes, he sees his dreams, possibilities of fulfilling those dreams there, of his early dreams. But the two aspects of migration, one is the migrant who migrates and his community, the source, once again going back to the term that Dr. Henry used, the destination and departure. So the departure setting of the migrant, the individual youth and the community, and then of course the destination community which gains from it. So in the story of Joseph, this becomes very clear. He and his family gains from it, that migration in Egypt. At the same time, Egypt itself is a recipient of the good that comes from the migrant. And we, the church documents, see that we as members who are not just belonging to one group or the other, we have an advantage because we will stand up for both the destination group as well as the origin or the departure setting, and that is our strength. So that could be our possible biblical image for us. Then I would come to the fact that migrants enrich new communities. We work, we network. I would like to shorten what I prepared and say, come to the final points that I would like to share. That solutions are a part of both of these communities, source and destination. Every one of our institutions, and we referred many times in our sharing to this, every one of our institutions in the source region, we should not forget, possibly we are forgetting this, they are actually providing opportunities there and preventing migration, or enhancing the possibility of the skills of those people. So just think of, if we have a school in a village, what are they doing? They're actually already in the picture. So we shouldn't look at them as if they are not in the picture. Yes, there's much more to do, but we must see the real work. Why do we run a school at all? It is actually enhancing. Even when a husband goes as a migrant to work elsewhere, where does the child living in that village get educated? How does the girl become, let's say, literate in that village? So we must see the synergy that is already existing while we challenge ourselves to further, because otherwise there is a danger we pitch ourselves one against the other, or saying that this is now more important, that is less important, etc. So we must see that we are actually in a groove that is already working together, enhance it further. So we are present in it. Our works in various parts are actually creating those opportunities. We need to take the best advantage of it. So it's a to and fro relationship in every community where the source, we say, the source of the migrant is. Every one of our institutions in the recipient communities could become an oratory. In fact, one of our sharings referred to healthy recreation. Of course, when we say oratory, in our constitutional perspective, that it is a school, it's a home, it's a parish, it's a welcoming place, every aspect of that to come together. So the source and the destination where we have our communities, both are already playing certain roles. And then the forum that now we are speaking of that needs strengthening at national level, at province level, at local level, is going to be the one that is able to synchronize our activities in favor of the migrant youth. So our proposal to network among our institutions is absolutely crucial, important, with the need, as it was shared by so many of you, to strengthen the national focus, and therefore possibly the need for a separate desk at national level in addition to strengthening at the province levels. Dr. Shiva Kumar in his presentation mentioned that government has a list of 54 districts. So in our planning could be possibly look at where our strengths are in those districts to be very focused in our starting. So that's something that we could keep in mind as we progress. Then the synergy that we actually have, which we need to bring together even more and more, the migrant desks that we are talking about, the skilling for which we have the DB Tech group, we have the job placement also working with DBYA, we have BoscoNet and the PDOs, which are very often working at the grassroots, at the source level, and of course at the target level. Interprovincial and interstate collaboration that we spoke about. So that networking and synergizing would be the biggest strength that we could bring into immediately in reaching out to this group that we want to, the migrant youth. Data pooling is one thing that came out also very strongly in our discussions. In fact, one way that in the many meetings that I have been attending after the chapter, this has been coming again and again, our focus on the poor and the necessity for data. It was that triggered me also to propose, can we in the next 5 years reach 500,000 young people with verifiable data that we have really helped them to move from poverty to beyond poverty line, assuming that we are looking at a salary of minimum 12,000, which would be calculated by way of poverty line and 4 members in a family. So if we can cross them across that, it would be more or less assuring that we can make a boy or a girl help their family to overcome poverty. Now that can happen only by the fact of all the various networks, each of our Salesians, our collaborators, our networks, our provinces working together, but with clear data that we agree upon to be able to verify that we did help so many people. So it should not be that we only do certain interventions, a bit here, a bit there. At the end, we really cannot verify how many we have reached. So that would be the goal. So here we are again converging that data is absolutely crucial. We talked a lot about data with specific reference to migrants, but it is also crucial whether we talk at whatever network that we are talking. So if YAR can bring together that data, if DBTech can bring their data, and DBYA at the various other levels bring that data, BoscoNet brings the data, and we are also revamping our website and Boscom in order to help us to also project this data, as it was mentioned many times, how social media is absolutely important in the advocacy that we want to build. Many other things that we need to bring together. Thank you very much for this opportunity to join. And Father Tony and the team, congratulations to you, and for the publication that was released today by Father Tati. Once again, thanks to each and every one of you. Let's look forward to carrying this forward without losing our enthusiasm. In some way, the situation, the COVID, the pandemic has propelled this movement further. As Father Tony said, we started in 2014, etc. So thank you very much, and I'll be most happy to get involved and support every move that we would make in this direction. And I'm sure the Director Major and the congregation is fully backing it, because that is a focus that also the chapter this time came back once again. Poor youth and particularly migrant youth was a focus. Thank you, Father Tony, and thanks to everyone.
Thank you, Father Viju, for your thoughts, synthesizing, enriching, putting it into the context of the congregation and the church, and pointing the way. And most of all, for your very precious presence throughout these 3+ hours, being with us, and that's so very valuable. We have come to the end of this session. A very quick word of thanks to everyone. A lot of people who did not get an opportunity to talk have worked at the province levels, discussing, working through Google Meets and WhatsApp, preparing the responses. I found very active involvement and prompt responses to all our queries from the province coordinators. A real warm word of thanks to everyone. To Father Tati for always supporting, appreciating, and putting us up. Father Jose Kurechera, unfortunately, he just left, I think, who also sat through the entire meeting in spite of the poor network. To Father, okay. 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 I was sorry when I saw that he had left the meeting. Okay. Dr. Henry Rosario, he's been with us actually last 1.5 years. We have been closely working together, and I was so happy that he was able to join this, and we will continue to be troubling you more in the coming days and months. Dr. Shiv Kumar said that he had some online work, but we can call him anytime. I thought of not disturbing him, but our real very deep words of appreciation for his availability. He told me that he will put off some of the works that he had. He's got meetings throughout the day practically to be available with us, and giving us such very clear global perspective on the context of the migrants. Thanks to everyone. It's impossible. Actually, I would love to mention the names of everyone present, but really thank you so much for being here and for the interest. We can sense that there is a desire to work, and we can sense that the regional and the provincials are committed to take this forward, and that is what gives us the maximum hope at this point of time. We hope if a task force is set up, we can present a plan of action at the proposed September meeting of SPCSA. That's what we can target, so that it's a very short 1 month, 2 months time in which we can work and present a plan. Thank you once again. And can I invite Father Thaddeus now to conclude with the, you are lifting up the hand for prayer or an intervention?
Before prayer, just want to very important biblical message for all of us. Okay. Since all of us are feeling desperate and taken up, this and that, even migrant whole people. And Jesus is telling in Hebrew chapter 13 verse 5, I will not abandon you. Secondly, Jesus again he said in John's Gospel chapter 14 verse 18, I shall not leave you orphan. And my dear friends, today we have asked we planned so many things, this and that, and aspiration and forcing this and that. So now in Psalm 35 verse 5, all your intentions, aspirations, planning, you submit to him and he will act on it, the beauty of it. And last one is that disciples going by boat in Galilee and horse shaking, and he was far away. He's far away. And when he reached, he said, "Don't worry, I am with you." Matthew 14, verse 27. So we should not get frightened. So let us join your hands. I will conclude the prayers. Please join your hands. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Loving Father, we thank you, praise you for being with us. Thank you for the great knowledge, inspiration, and wisdom you have showered upon each of us. Today we are able to be one together in spite of different places, far away, and different provinces, different levels. Yet we are in your name for your mission. We're able to come together or plan out to feel, experience, and being with the people. Lord, we thank you for this great, and as we go ahead for this plan, bless us, bless all of us, bless the people, so that all of us will not be left behind, will not be orphaned, will not sink in the sea, but be alive and be with you, and we'll see you one day. Bless each one of us and be with us. Thank you. Glory be the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
As it was.
Mary, our help and guide, pray for us in the Father, and the Holy Spirit. God bless you. I think it's all of you. Bye.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Rose, we can see you now.
Appear on the screen till now. Thank you, Sister Rose, for coming on our meeting.
Yes, thank you. Thank you to each and every one of you. All the best. We will go ahead. We'll journey along. Thank you very much.
Good.
Did you